There's always something that throws me off when something or someone is supposed to be how we perceive them, something of the norm, and they start acting the way they're not, like they're possessed or something. For example, animals. For me at least, they fall into something that is supposed to be sweet, funny, or just animals acting like animals. Beneath the Trees, Where Nobody Sees falls into this category of something that really disturbs me, but not in the sense that you may think of. Or if you even looked at the cover of the story and maybe just read the first half of the first issue, you wouldn't think that this story is based on someone going around Xing out people for their own ego. This is a comic book recommendation, so I won't talk about spoilers here. This is a story that follows Samantha, who just so happens to be a bear who lives in a small town and runs a really well business. She has a pretty normal life till we find out, well, she X's out people to let herself go, in the sense to put her mind at ease. However, one day it all comes crumbling down around her when someone starts doing inhumane acts around her own small town. And well, how will Samantha deal with this? Well, that's for you all to find out. This is one of the first horror comics I've read, and it was a blast to say the least. Yes, it was odd seeing the normal cute animals become the things that they may or not be during this comic. There were a few things that I really adored the most from reading this. I kind of love this old type of art style that was present. Patrick Horvat is both the writer and artist of this great work. This old school style I thought really added onto the vibe that was the setting for this whole story, while also being some of the most detailed work I have seen from someone. It captured both the beauty and some of the most horrific things a person could see or do to someone, or well, in this case, some of the most horrific things an animal could do that are human-like to another animal. Also, again, it is very detailed, and I really do mean that. So please, if you're very squeamish, or if you're not a person who handles blood well, please proceed with caution, because again, it's very detailed, especially when it comes to your inner workings. As for the writing, it does a very good job of tackling the story that is happening in the hometown. I feel like the build up to all the suspense of who is Xing people out, while also the mystery of trying to piece together who could possibly it may be. And then there was the time of capturing the inner workings of Samantha and what really makes her tick. Why does she do the things that she does? And what really pushes her to do these extreme things? And I really love that once the stage is set and things are starting to turn out for the worse, Samantha becomes this person that the people in her town around her aren't used to seeing. But also, it shows how certain events, especially in small towns, can really cause a hive mind if you don't nip the problem in the right and timely manner. My only real gripe with the writing for the story, and this could be a completely me thing, was kind of the ending of it. I felt the pacing was a little bit really fast, especially with once we figure out who's doing this, it kind of just snowballs really quickly, especially with how the story was going. It was proceeding at a nice, calm, slow pace, and then that last chunk really goes quick. And then there was something else that kind of, I wouldn't say bothered me, it was just more of an issue that I had. And of course, we're doing this without spoilers, so don't worry. There's a certain point at the end where certain events have started to take place and certain things have started to happen. And one of these events really made me question Samantha even more than what we've already known her till at this particular point. I can see why this certain event played out the way it did, and there are some implications that this was in the workings for quite a while. And like I said, this is probably a me thing, and I guess I was just too naive to think otherwise. However, even then, overall, it's still a pretty good read. And I also love that animals play to their certain traits of their normal counterparts. A turtle being a turtle, a mouse being a mouse. You get the idea. I loved those moments, and it led to some very funny moments, especially when things were very dark. And finally, if you do decide to check this out, and you may end up liking it, well, you're in luck, because there is a sequel that issues are coming out as we speak. It's called Beneath the Trees, Where Nobody Sees, The Rite of Spring. It takes place 8 years after this first arc. However, and this is a very big however, if you plan to check this out, do not read the synopsis of the first issue of the sequel, or any of the synopsis of the upcoming sequel's issues. It does cover a certain spoiler that isn't a big vocal point in this first arc, let's say. However, that small section is the main vocal point of the sequel. I have been reading this run so far, and it's still pretty good. I think it's just as good as the first issue is at this particular point. And I don't want to get too ahead of myself when I say that, since it's not fully done and fully completed yet. But I think I may like the sequel a bit more when it's all said and done, just because I'm loving how things are going. I love how the pacing is. I still love the artwork. And I personally think the story for the sequel is a bit more better than this first part is, this first arc. It may not be a total mystery this time around for certain reasons, but I still find it a very enjoyable read as well. This is the end of the video, and I hope you all enjoyed it. If you have read this lovely comic, tell me what you know or what you think below. And again, please no spoilers, just for anyone who may come across this and want to experience this book or this comic for themselves. Or if you have any other recommendations, feel free to list them below as well. I am going to be trying to add me talking about comics to this channel since I made that reading video, and I decided to kick things off with a recommendation because this comic was something that I really enjoyed, and I think more people would like it as well. As for the comic side of things of this content, there probably won't be so many videos produced for it. It's just a nice little hobby, I would say, or it's not something that I spend enough time with to really produce a significant amount of videos for it. But every now and then, you know, a video will hit the timeline. And in case anyone is wondering, I will probably not talk about Marvel and DC comics because I think both of them would twist me into a pretzel if I decide to touch any of those properties. But again, I will never say never, because who knows, maybe I'll give it a shot with an issue that I really like or a run that I'm really enjoying from Marvel or DC. And I may make a video on it, who knows. Other than that, I hope you all have a great and safe rest of your day. Drink your water, posture check, get your steps in, and always remember, you're important. To the next one, be safe, and I will see you all later.